sweet and cool and
yes,
dry.
yes.
So it's a comfortable summer shirt.
Yes.
Is that what you call a golf shirt? We're about to go live.
Golf
and
shirt for
For some
sure.
weird reason, the monitor's not on. Yay! Good morning, everybody. We're talking about Paul's beautiful shirt, and I don't know what's going on. We got a...
I do look at the monitor from time to time.
There you go.
So.
Yeah.
Did you get it pulled up?
We've had so much rain and so much craziness, and that was Caleb that y'all just saw. We're just having a blast. This is live TV, and this is why I have always loved live television. What you see is what you get, and that's what we do. It is crazy, it is wild, it is fun, and today you're going to get to see a picture in a little bit of the two ladies who are responsible for my hair for over, 40-something years.
Really?
The same team has done my hair, and it is so funny. Today they were together, and I said, we need to get a shot of the three of us, and one of them, I don't want to do that. I said, shut up, take a picture. So often I get compliments on the color of my hair.
Yes.
Well, it's completely natural because this is 1-800-GOD. But I said if I could do the show backwards, the back of my hair is black. So I would look younger if we did the show backwards. So guys, can we start shooting from the back of my head from now on? And then I look like I'm 29 and holding instead of on up there. But it was so funny. Everybody says, oh, I love how your hair is colored. Who colors your hair? 1-800-GOD. So, yay. You're getting, I was thinking about this the other day, you're getting that silver distinguished. You know, when with men we say they're distinguished, with women we say, I need to color my hair. So, but it's interesting, do you have the characteristics of which parent?
So probably my mother's side of the family. Of course, my grandfather was solid white on my mother's side by the time he was 45.
Wow.
So I'm 46, be 47 this year, so I'm getting there a little bit slower.
Yeah.
But it's coming along fast. That, and then my forehead keeps getting bigger and bigger. I don't understand that. Like it keeps stretching out. I'm like, look at pictures over time, it's like.
Yeah. When you look at your children, who do you see in your children?
I see a little bit of all of our family. Kel, I see, which he's got, I'm a junior, he's a third, so he's got Paul, Kel, the third, but he has more characteristics of Holly's side of the family. And
so he's wild and wonderful, because Holly will take on the world.
Yes.
She will take on the world and
sure
capture
will.
it most of the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
And he's moving today to Milledgeville to start his career.
Yes.
And so Katie is a spitting image of my mother when she was younger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, and she's got, some features on Holly's side, but and my grandfather on my mother's side was really smart. So so she's got his
What was
trait.
your mom's maiden name?
Griffin. Yeah, G.L. Groves Lester Griffin was my grandfather. And so he served in World War II, fought the Battle of Midway.
Wow.
And was on night watch, watching and saw a flash on the horizon and reported it, and come to find out that was the first nuclear bomb atomic bomb that they dropped on Nagasaki.
God, oh my gosh.
Nagasaki was first, Hiroshima was second.
Yes.
So he struggled in his entire life with what he experienced.
Oh, I'm sure.
He used to tell me stories that were just unbelievable.
Yeah,
but,
and it's funny, I shared something with you today, and there's no family that we know that hasn't been affected in World War I, World War II, Vietnam, Korea. There are so many people today who still carry the sad memories, the horrible memories of a war that created a free America, that we can sit here in front of these two flags, we can discuss what we're going to discuss today. Somebody gave it all for us to do that. And in the last 10 days, after celebrating Memorial Day, you hear all these stories. And everybody has, that one person that it really, really affected.
Yeah. Well, I mean, he committed suicide at 64, 65.
Wow.
And, I mean, nobody knew how bad he was struggling. But I remember I used to go spend about 3 weeks with him in the summer.
And there was no help for him.
No, and see, he had real high blood pressure. And back then, if I remember correctly, they thought Prozac could help out with high blood pressure, so he was given huge doses.
Yes.
Like back then, they gave huge doses.
Yes.
And I mean, it was on a trial. I mean, it is what it is now. but that, didn't help.
Right.
But I remember it was pretty incredible. I mean, just the graphic stories he told, me being 15, 16, and I'm just like, wow. I mean,
Wow.
what you experienced, having, your two best friends killed right beside you. So,
And being a survivor, they say that there's that survivor's remorse that, why wasn't it me?
Right.
Why didn't I go? Why, they had a family, they had children, whatever. And it's, that has to be very, very tough.
Yeah. So, I mean, that, it's something that, and that's one of the most frustrating things of our society today. We've been so wealthy for so long in our country that, I read a quote that said, hard times make good men. Because, and it's true, because the people that I know that have the most integrity have come through incredible challenges in their lifetime, and they made a choice.
And survived it.
They made a choice that doing the right thing. Now, their relationship with Christ matters, their fear of God. But hard times make good men. Good men make easy times, and easy times make weak men.
Wow.
And
wow.
And I believe we're
that is so true.
We're in a period of time now where people get their feelings hurt because somebody.
Let me tell you, on the way up here today, and I'm just going to start a ruckus. On the way up here today, we're in an economy. Everywhere you go, every business has a sign: hiring, hiring, hiring. We are hiring. Everybody is hiring for everything all the time. I pull up to the four-way stop, and there sits a free food truck. It's a great mission. It's a great missionary service, and it's fantastic for those who need it. But I watch the cars and the trucks that are in line. They don't need it any worse than I do. And I'm thinking, y'all are sitting in line a lot better, a lot newer. And that makes me angry, because there is such a need. I will tell you, the elderly, and you see this too, there are elderly people who during that Obama crisis lost everything they had. And at 80 years old, you can't start over. We deal with elderly people all the time who lost everything they had, and you can't start over. But then we see this society of 20s, 30s, 40s sitting at home being handed and handed and handed. And I know a $40 box of groceries isn't going to make a difference and make it or break it. But get yourself out and get a job. If you are able to work, everybody is begging for help. You can't get it. And if you have good help, you better pay them to keep them, or they're going away. And I think that's something we're learning. Reward those who deserve to be rewarded, but don't just pay them because, well, I think I deserve more than that. That's bull crap.
Well, I mean, but the problem is, the problem is, and a lot of this is the church's fault. Okay, we've got this image of Jesus walking around as, oh, you guys are great, and grinning all the time, right?
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I mean, we are forgiven, but you read the Bible front to back, there is a justice side to God. Jesus overturned the money changers in the temple. So I don't want to get into a theological debate, but the problem is today, the church has fallen into the prosperity gospel. And, and we choose people because they've been successful without considering how they became successful. And there's really a lot of people use the lack of courage to speak truth into society as their Christian cover. Oh, well, what would Jesus do? He would be quiet about this. Well, no,
he wouldn't.
I mean,
He'd
why do you
spank
think
us.
they crucified him?
Yeah.
I mean, he was calling them out on everything in their society, and he was salt to this world, trying to show us that there's a better way. And unfortunately, we've reached the point in society where, our children have been told, find your passion and go after it. I mean, that's partly true, but the problem is you can't, Instagram and all these other things, kids have this expectation that we can come out and we're going to love our job. Jobs are work, right? No matter what we do in life, it takes discipline, whether it's investing, whether it's, dieting, it's exercise. It takes discipline and effort, and God told us we're going to toil by the sweat of our brow.
Not easy.
Thorns and thistles. I mean, that is life. but we've painted this picture that's completely unrealistic, and we have an entire generation that are weak. They get their feelings hurt because somebody,
Ooh, bless me. And
you know,
just like smack 'em.
and they're missing the big picture. And the problem is, there's no way that society doesn't suffer the consequences of that.
Right, right. That's right.
And we're all going to suffer it.
Yep, yep. We are in a society that is, we're in trouble. And I gotta say, today is June the 10th, and today would have been the 1943. How old would he have been? 77, I guess. My late husband, who went to be with the Lord after battling cancer, today would have been his birthday. And I think this is so funny because sometimes you have a,
86.
he'd have been 76.
86.
76.
Okay.
Yeah, 76, I think. No, he was 9 years older than
50,
me.
70. We're 21,
Would he
so
have
50,
been-
71. And
He was born in 43.
7 is,
I don't know. We'll figure it out.
I
But anyway, he's
use a
9 years older
calculator
than
so
me.
much now, it's hard to do.
Okay, on June the 10th, this is what my little book that Dawn gave me, and I've laughed because I have a trunk full of iron skillets, and that's a whole nother story. And Lucy Harris, I'm going to tell that story one day. Bad thoughts are not sins. What we choose to do with those thoughts is what matters. Now, sometimes I make a decision and I don't follow through on it because somebody tells me to think it through and stop and think about it. And so I don't follow through. And I left church on Sunday, and I was in tears, and I got in my car, and I was just having a bad day. And I said, God, you show me what you want me to do. And so he sent me in this weird direction. And I said, okay. And I went and I did and I thought and I talked about it and I said, okay. And then I said, okay, Lord, if this is what you want me to do, I'm going to do it. Well, it wasn't what he wanted me to do because when I got there, it wasn't what it needed to be.
Right.
And I thought, this is where you sent me today. And then I get there and it's not what I thought it was going to be. That's life.
Yeah,
That's life.
that is
I
life.
thought that the problem that was really driving me crazy was over and it was going to be fine and I was going to be great. Well, I've had some nightmares lately, some really, really serious nightmares. And one of them was, I've had some horrific ones, and I keep saying, I've got to get through this. I have to get through this. And then, have you ever had a nightmare that you felt what was happening?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, like an automobile accident or something, and it was so real. And so I just said, God, you've got to stop this for me. Well, I haven't had any nightmares in like 4 nights. And I was so thankful because I said I got through Sunday. I got through Sunday night, and then now I'm not having the nightmares I was having. He released that from me. I didn't have any way to do it.
Only the Lord can do that.
Yeah, I didn't have any way to stop them because I didn't like going to sleep. I stay up extra late because when I go to sleep, I have these horrible nightmares. And so I was avoiding sleeping, and now it's like I go to sleep by 1:15 in the morning and I wake up by 6:15. So that's what God wants me to do. He gives me however many hours that is, and I accept it. And so when my circles get bigger, that's what God's given me. But he gives us what we need.
Yes.
He doesn't give us everything we want.
And typically just in time.
Yes, just
Right?
in time.
Just in time.
He is always right on time.
Right.
And sometimes I'm like, seriously? And I know you've been in that position
Oh, I've been in it.
where you were like, really?
Yeah.
And then you're like, wow, I get it now.
Yeah, I mean, where we are right now, I mean, just the struggles we had in the asset management for the past 4 or 5 years, you know, just several things. Well, it had nothing to do with the election, but around November, it changed. And, you know, and everything that I was taught, you know, every strategy is going to struggle, and then you're going to lose some clients. You're going to have people that are frustrated with you. And then you're going to take off again. And I'm so thrilled. I would not want to go through what I've been through.
Right. But have we not made every step you've made, you wouldn't appreciate this today.
If God hadn't have brought me to here, I wouldn't be having as much joy sitting in the moment as what I am. But there was a lot of pain to go through to get there.
Oh yeah. And it hurts. Well, let's talk about pain.
Yeah.
When I was a young person, Pam Dorsey used to do my hair. And you know how women used to tease their hair? Painful. I'm tender-headed. And I would sit in a beauty shop chair, and they'd be teasing my hair, and tears would be pouring down my cheeks. And the beauticians are like, why do you do this to your hair? Well, that's what women do. We put ourselves in pain. So right now, I want to share a photo of me and Pam and Leah. They are the two women who have been responsible for my hair for many, 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 many years. And people always tell me, they're like, your hair is the color is so good. The color is natural. And I said, I used to think that I had to dye my hair black and that I had to look younger and I had to do this. Well, to me, dyed hair means you look like an old lady trying to look young. It don't work. It don't work.
You can tell, right?
You can tell. You can tell. So this morning I asked Leah, I said, Leah, is there anything we can buy that we can just pour on my hair and make it black for just a period of time that I can look at it and go, ah!
Did you really?
And she just cracked up. She said, you ain't right. You ain't right. So, but I just thought to myself, because I had jet black. My daddy, God love him, had jet black hair. I had jet black hair, and I never had to color it. And then it turned silver. And so this morning I just said, with all the technology of today, and this came from, I was in Pigeon Forge one night. Me and Regina Camp were up there. And we were in Walmart at like midnight, and we were the only people in there except Elvis impersonators. Everybody else in there was an Elvis impersonator, and they all had that blue-black dyed hair. Yeah. And so I told Leah, I said, I really would love to have some black back in my hair, but I don't want it to look dyed. And I said, everybody who dyes their hair black looks like they're somebody old trying to look young. So I said, can we just pour something on my hair and make it black and then wash it out, you know? Because I'm going to go, I hate it, I hate it, I hate it. So to Pam and to Leah, thank you for getting me through. Actually, I met Pam 50 years ago. It was the first time she did my hair in Jasper on Main Street. Mary Jane Reed, you know Mary Jane, she and Chris had a beautician.
Beauty shop.
Who else was there? I'm trying to think who else is there. Okay, there's a photo of this morning. Those are the two magicians who do my hair, and they say we're not beauticians, we're magicians. So I love you, I love you, I love you both. I love you, I love you, I love you. But you know, we go back over 50 years of having a history in this beautiful town of Jasper that is now, 50 years later, finally beginning to flourish a little bit.
Yes.
Downtown looks good. They're getting some new businesses. The Woodbridge Inn looks good. I'm not sure I'm crazy about that Las Vegas sign on the top of the roof. That's not to me, a historical building should maintain its historical character. So that didn't excite me too much. But it is exciting to just see people coming to Jasper, because I think about the day I walked in that little beauty shop on Main Street and they were doing glamour shots. Has your wife ever had a glamour shot?
Yeah, she did when she was younger. She did.
Well, that day they were doing glamour shots, and so Pam did my hair, and I still have the picture. I had on a teal colored wrap, and Mama had on I think Mama's background was pink. But it was so funny. That's like it was yesterday, Paul. That's 50 years ago.
But I remember the first, when I'd see ladies come back from glamour shots.
Yeah, and you're like, is that you?
Oh my goodness. Is that really you?
Yeah, you're like, no, that ain't me. That ain't me, that ain't me, that ain't me. Well, we have gone through some times, and we are going to go through some more times. And today, when I leave here, I have to make...
You sure? The government can print money and solve every problem.
I know it. I'd like for the government to shut down.
Just cut interest rates and print money. Oh, you get a check if you had a bad day.
No. Let me tell you what I would love to do. I would love to have the government shut down for 6 months. For 6 months. And I would love for the government to just close and go to the house and leave us alone and let us take care of our own business. Let us feed ourselves. Let us clothe ourselves. Let us house ourselves. Let us work. Let us do what we need to do. The government needs to stay out of our business because they are creating havoc in so many directions.
But they're so much smarter than you.
No, they're not.
See, the intellectuals, the educators, these professors that are teaching, they're so much smarter than you.
Yeah, right.
They know how you should live your life.
You know what I've got? A whole bunch of common sense.
But if you'll just live the way that these academics tell you need to live, you'll be just fine, Cherie.
Yeah,
You'll never have a sad day.
You're so full of crap. You and I.
You know I don't believe that.
I know you don't. We both started out in a double wide.
Yeah.
And you think
Sure
about
did.
that, Paul.
The
You think about
sacrifice,
that.
I mean, it's a sacrifice. I remember my mother-in-law was so upset at me,
Yes.
but Holly and I wanted to keep her expenses low.
Yep. Yep.
And she was, you know, I mean, we saved and we fought and we sacrificed.
Yep. Yep. Well, it tickles me to see that a young couple, they both worked and have $40,000 or $50,000 in savings. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
And then you see, you work, and you don't have a dime. That's tough. But it's a choice you make.
Yeah.
It's a choice you make.
Partly. I would
Yeah.
say that recently it's a little different.
Right, because COVID did do some crazy things. Now, last night on Facebook, I posted something that happened to a friend of mine, and it wasn't me, it was a friend, but she went to a doctor, and the doctor insisted that she get the COVID shot, and she said, no, my body, my choice, don't want the shot. And they kept insisting. It was actually a physician's assistant, not a doctor. But they kept on and on and on, and she said, I'm here because I think I have strep throat. She had strep throat, and she tested positive for that, but nothing else. And the doctor kept insisting. And I believe that your body, your choice, abortion. I do not believe in abortion. I do not believe in killing unborn children. I have gone through a period of time that sometimes you change the way you think because you look at life differently.
Right.
And I think life is about the choices we make, and it is my choice to not do something. It is your choice to not do something. It's your choice to do something.
Right.
And you make that decision based on facts. Now, we are learning now that some of the facts, and you were telling me about the drug that I had asked about, and I'm not allowed to get it because it's not FDA approved. Tell me what you were reading.
Yeah, so where am I looking?
There you are.
It's over here, so I have to look to the side to
Yeah.
see. If you believe anything that the traditional media tells you now, then you do not have intellectual integrity.
Sad.
Period.
Truth.
And so the evidence, and that's the hard part. That's one of the things we've struggled with is you can believe a fairy tale. You can put your faith in individuals and institutions. And I really don't understand how we're here, okay? Because people in general are not stupid. There's a lot of intelligent people, but there is deceiving. There's deceit. There really is. And people are not cynical enough. I don't think they're naive. And Jordan Peterson had a wonderful quote for those who are naive. Most are choosing to be naive. But so if you look at the evidence that's coming out now, and I had somebody, actually I found it on a research source of somebody that I respect. It was 2.5 hours. The doctors that were on there were well written, well respected, and
often Democrats.
Often Democrats.
And
they cannot believe that the Democrats in general are just blindly accepting what's going on. And they also don't understand why, for the first time in their career, that they've had someone at the top dictating what happens. You're going to do it this way. So the questions that arise, and look, I know nothing about the medical field, okay? So I don't know if this is right or wrong. I've not tried to disprove it, but I know enough about what I have seen that they talk about ivermectin being a dramatic difference in treatment.
Right.
Okay. I mean, I'm talking dramatic, but it's like $3.
Right. Now, and I did ask my doctor about it last week because I wanted to know, could I have that if I needed it? And he said, we can't prescribe it.
Well, see,
so explain to me why we can't prescribe it.
Well, there are doctors who are prescribing it.
Okay.
In India, for example, the data that they looked at, now here's the thing, this is dangerous, guys, because we don't know what we're going to talk about when I come on this show.
Right.
So most of the time I'm pulling 100% from memory, and I didn't get a chance to write this data down, but here are some highlights, okay? It came out on Zero Hedge yesterday, which is interesting because Zero Hedge is a news source that I actually
Usually
pay.
liberal?
I pay for a premium. No, they've been considered as a conspiracy theorist site.
Okay.
But in the public release of Fauci's emails, they were addressing Zero Hedge release of the Wuhan virus potentially being an engineered virus that was released.
Right.
So the government paid attention to that. Fauci and them, that guy is unbelievable liar. And how people don't, I mean, how is he still where he is? There's no justice.
The highest paid person in the federal government.
There's no justice anymore. So anyway, they're working around this. Now, everybody's spinning. One of the things I notice is people that are on the right, they're spinning things, exaggerating. We just need people to tell the truth. But so these are things that I've not verified. But you remember on the news, India was all over the news about the trajectory. Just
Yeah.
COVID was going up, massive deaths. Well, according to the doctors that were on this 2.5 hour YouTube video, and I wouldn't have paid attention if I wasn't familiar with the interviewer. Okay, so I've had enough time to know that they ask solid questions and they have intellectual curiosity and they're open-minded. So Mexico apparently has been allowing treatment of ivermectin. And so minimal doses. There have been some studies done, but it was so minimal and
ivermectin
so
was
late.
questioned because it had originally been done for animals? Is that
Yeah,
right?
so ivermectin apparently, you know, Holly's like, when Holly and I were talking about it, we talked about it for about 4 hours last week. She's like, ivermectin, where have I heard that from? So it's prescribed as a heartworm pill.
Okay,
It's an
that's where I heard,
It's an
yes.
anti-parasitic.
Yes.
Well, anyway, the story of how they discovered ivermectin is unbelievable, but it's off patent. So it's cheap. It's like $3 a treatment versus remdesivir, I believe, is the treatment. It's like $3,000.
Right.
Okay. So the question that these doctors are asking is, we don't understand. The data doesn't show this. Is it money? Is it pure power? Is it pure intellectual laziness? We don't understand that, and it doesn't make sense to me. I don't know what the agenda would be. But apparently in India, they approved the use of ivermectin to treat both as a prophylactic, which is a preventative, and to treat COVID. And the numbers just went
Wow.
outside of, apparently one district, I'm not sure what they call it in India, I can't remember, because it was 2.5 hours worth of data. I've listened to this thing twice, and I need to, usually I'm on the tractor and I'm listening, and I'll stop, you know, and Holly will message me, you okay? Yeah, what? Well, hang on, I got to listen to what he's saying. You think I could drive the tractor and do it.
Yeah.
But to make notes on it. So anyway, there was a district, apparently the last name Stalin, I haven't gone and reflect this, that outlawed the use of ivermectin, and they are continuing to rise in that trajectory. So the argument is, and what this doctor talks about, is it has incredible results. But there are some hospitals and doctors that have had the word from the administrators up top that says absolutely under no circumstances will that happen.
Yeah.
So I actually want to call some of the doctors around here. That's one of the things that's on my list, and I've shared it with a couple to get their opinions, because I'm like, look, I've been hearing for months from some of the most credible sources that I had on the information, and that's why I quit wearing masks very quickly right after. That's why we basically went back to normal.
Right.
And I mean, I've had it.
Yeah.
But one of the things they talked about is we have enough data now with the vaccines that if you've had COVID, they still want you to get the vaccine. But the people who've had COVID and get the vaccine apparently have a more severe reaction. Well, I know some family members that had a more severe reaction than people who hadn't. I also have some clients who had a more. So everything that this doctor is saying that the data is showing, I am seeing around me.
Yeah.
And, you know.
And I know somebody who today was just tested, and she has 9 months clean of COVID, but she still has antibodies. They tell you 90 days, and we don't have them anymore. She still has them 9 months later.
Right.
So I'm going to go be tested because I want to see if I still have antibodies.
So they're saying that COVID long haulers, now.
I'm a COVID long hauler.
So they're saying that even ivermectin
Yeah.
has been able to be prescribed
That's why I
to
asked
reduce
about
the
it.
symptoms.
Yes, that's why I asked about it.
And people who had symptoms after their vaccination, and for long haulers.
Right.
So I want to, so Holly still doesn't have her smell and taste back from July
I still
of
have
last
the
year.
raging headaches, honestly.
And she has raging headaches
Will,
still.
and Evelyn and I had COVID the same time. We think we got it at the same place. We had all the same symptoms. I went to the doctor last week because of it. I've had an MRI because of it. She went to the doctor this week. We still have a headache, and how I get through the day some days is beyond me, because I feel like my head is going to explode.
That's the way Holly feels.
I feel like it's going to explode. and you just want to scream. You know, it's horrible. It's horrible.
So look, I have to put the disclosure out there, guys, right? Because I was told a long time ago that, well, if you want freedom of speech, you can lose your license, right? Because there is governing bodies. Do not take any advice.
Do your
from
own
me
research,
when it
make your
comes
own
from,
decisions.
From medical field, okay?
See that flag?
Yeah.
Everybody has the right to be free and make their own decisions.
Yeah, so I'm not saying that it works. I don't have enough evidence to know that it works. I did not do the research, but these are people that, I mean, this is something that's been coming along, and all of the things that I have seen, though, the truth has come out. The only exception is in the stock market and in housing, because what has happened, it's truly been different this time, because the government it's unbelievable. The sheer amount of money that has been printed.
Yeah,
but I don't know. See, here's the thing. I don't know. It's like the investment committee. We had this huge argument today, and it's really fun. But we're active risk managers. Like, I'm not going to just stay fully invested. Well, the market's telling us that it wants to take another big run higher, but the risk level is unbelievable. And
3,000. I was thinking about this the other day. When I started watching the stock market and paying attention, I think it was 3,100.
On the S&P or the Dow?
The Dow.
Oh, that was in the 90s, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's now 33,000.
34, 35,000.
Yeah. That
was
in my lifetime, just since me paying attention to it, I'm like, whoa! I never thought I'd see those.
But see, here's the problem. Okay, so let's say you and I have saved. All right, let's push this forward. Let's say you and I have saved $100,000 a piece. We really want, I'm going to take them out. This is all we're looking for, because this will make it simple. I've explained this analogy to my kids, and they've picked it up. So we really want this, okay? You and I fought and saved. We got $100,000 a piece, and you and I are the only two people in the world, just to keep it simple. And we both want it.
We both want that. We're in trouble.
How much can it go for? Theoretically, what's the most it can go for?
Anything we're willing to pay.
And if all we have is $100,000, then it can go for $100,000, right?
It can go for $100,000.
All right. So here comes the government. They give us $1 million a piece. Is that worth more?
No. No.
But what could it theoretically go for now?
It could go for a crazy number, and I'm seeing it every day.
Right. So here's the problem.
I'm seeing it every day.
Here's the problem. So the governments in 2007, 2008 did not allow that.
Did the government give us money we have to pay back, or is it free money? Doesn't that make a difference in people's decision?
Oh, it makes a huge difference.
If somebody gave you tons and tons of money, that there's no commitment, no payback, you didn't get a coupon book that says you make a payment the first of every month, doesn't that make a difference in your decision?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But see, here's the problem. So instead of letting institutions go bankrupt in 2008, many banks should have gone bankrupt.
Oh, I know a big one that we bailed out, $600 million.
Okay. So what happened? You take out the local small banks,
which was sad.
and you consolidate lending power. Okay. Then, if you're closer to the Federal Reserve's lending spigots, you're far better off. And it's a huge party for Wall Street and all these others. I mean, even in my career, I mean, if you're trying to be sane in my career, you look like an idiot, but you will stand the test of time when other people won't. I will tell you this. If you use intellectual integrity, you may look like a fool for a short period of time, but you mark my words, I've seen.
You're gonna look like a rocket scientist.
22 years I've seen people, you won't survive the test of time if you don't operate with intellectual integrity and curiosity. So, and that leads into a quote, get rich schemes are enticing. They are, because nobody wants to work. I mean, if we could have
Viagra was a perfect example.
What?
A perfect example, Viagra. Because we saw normal people make $80,000 just like this.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, everybody wanted to do it. Everybody wanted to do it.
Well, and the problem is Pfizer still hasn't reached the level of the stock price printed in the year 2000, and we're 21 years later.
Wow.
Anyway, so get-rich schemes are enticing. Sure, debt and leverage is a shortcut. Now, I will say this. If we're headed into a high inflation, hyperinflationary environment, you have to use leverage. But, exponential assets like that, they can, keep you from having to sweat and put some equity in. But make no mistake, if you're going to build wealth over the long term, the only way to do it is with integrity, intellectual and moral integrity, and then wealth will come slowly, and you can keep it. But you know, the statistics show wealth rarely goes beyond 3 generations. Why is that?
I don't know.
You know, I have never.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, wealth rarely lasts more than 3 generations.
Wow.
Now there are some families
Interesting.
that have so much wealth, but that changes, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You know, the Rockefellers were the most wealthy people in the 30s, and they're incredibly wealthy now because they've used their power to protect their position. But they're not the wealthiest, right? That's somebody else now.
The Waltons.
Yeah, and the reason that happens is what happens. You've got somebody that has drive, the founder of a business. The founder of a business typically pays their employees better than anybody else. Do you know that?
I did not.
But you pass it to the next generation, they don't
That's
have
right.
the confidence to rebuild
That's
it.
right. You're right there, because
They're far more generous.
Well, this is perfect example.
Right.
Perfect example.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you personally, for me,
Family business, yeah.
for me to have an exit strategy, Carrie's worked for me for 17 years, Renee's worked not for me, with me for 17 years. You know, Ryan's 10, Brittany's 10 now, Dylan's 6 or 7, Brittany's more than 10.
If you sold out and somebody else came in, they would not have that warm and fuzzy feeling, you've been here forever and you've helped me get where I am.
No,
would they?
I mean, look, you know, it's like we all have our personality quirks, right? But I'll tell you, these people care about our clients. And they don't, you know, everybody drops a phone call or something every now and then, forgets to give it to me to return a phone call, but they genuinely care. They'll stay till 6:30 at night if it takes that to return phone calls. Well, we built this together as a team. You pass that off to somebody else, now they're a manager. A manager doesn't know how to build that. They know how to manage it, right? So you take these large corporations, by the time you pass it down, you know, my kids have had it easier than I had. In some ways, I've tried to, by God's grace, force them to work. In some ways, they've had a lot harder than I had. But that's good, you know, hard times build good leaders. Good times build weak leaders, and weak leaders produce hard times. And that's the cycle we go through. It takes about 3 generations to wear out. And it's like Holly and I were talking one night. You know, if you had an absent father, then you probably made the decision that you want to be a good father. But guess what? Your kids had a good father. So they don't understand how bad it is to have an absent father. So they're not going to focus as hard on that next generation. That's why when you read the Bible front to back, you know, I remember the first time I read it, I was like, man, those Israelites, they're idiots, right? You know, but now I'm old enough to know, the Lord, in my life, the Lord's blessed me, and I'm like, woo, let's look everywhere else, and then, you know, and then I turn back to Him, and it goes, that's the problem.
It's
and
like
that's
the
why
scream
it's so
machine at Six Flags used to be the big deal. It's no longer the big deal. You know, now they're much bigger and much better. And we've seen generational things like that change. And now to a point that, do you think your children will ever really understand anything about how you and Holly started out and you did everything you did to produce what you did? You had to struggle. You didn't have it all. Do you think your kids will get that?
Well, I mean, yeah, I think they will, because it's going to be forced upon them. You know, Holly and I bought our first house in Milledgeville for $45,000.
I remember.
And we stayed in it for 2 years and sold it for $67,000.
That's a big profit, yeah.
And then we took the profit off that and paid, you know, bought a $20,000 repo double wide. And then we moved back up here and we lived in that thing for 4 years. I bought my office building before we ended up building the house. I think we lived in it 5 years. And, you know, our expenses were low. I mean, literally it was $300 a month is all it was.
Yeah. And that's how you became a saver and a planner and a doer.
We didn't go on vacation.
Speaking of planning and doing, we've got to take a commercial break, and we're going to do that right now. So y'all hang tight. Please remind yourself, write down who our sponsors are and tell them thank you for being here with us, and we'll be back in just a minute.
It's that time again for Fire in the Sky. Fireworks over Lake Blue Ridge this July 4th. All thanks to our sponsors, Blue Water Energy, the Fannin County Chamber of Commerce, and Caldwell Banker High Country Realty. So come join the live excitement of Fire in the Sky. Fireworks over Lake Blue Ridge on July 4th. Or watch it live on ETZ, Channel 3.
Whether it's memories of your first trip to the local Dairy Queen or your daily visit for a $5 lunch special, the Jasper Dairy Queen has been a part of the community for over 40 years. Locally owned and operated, Jasper DQ is the place where specialty items often become favorites. Burgers, shakes, chicken tenders with yummy dip and gravy, and don't forget the rings and fries. Celebration cakes are always fresh and fast and include the awesome Blizzard cake. Stop by where folks are always meeting and eating, 515 at Highway 53. Just follow the crowd to the Dairy Queen.
ETC knows the internet is evolving, taking new twists and turns. As we add our input, make our choices, and follow the light that connects us all. It's quite a journey, one to experience with the fastest speeds available. Contact ETC. Connect to the internet speed that suits your journey, and enjoy the ride.
Whether you're swimming in the sea, or splashing in the pool, making a masterpiece, or just making memories, writing a great American novel, or writing your term paper that's due tomorrow. Whatever you do in life, Farmers is here to protect it. For all your insurance needs, call Donald Curtis in Blue Ridge.
Georgia Medical Treatment Center now has 2 locations to bring you the high-quality holistic care you've come to know and expect. We treat neck, back, and joint pain with chiropractic care and injection-based treatment without the need for surgery or prescription painkillers. Our medical weight loss program can also provide relief while ridding your body of toxins, pounds, and inches while improving your overall health. Call today for a free consultation, 770-345-2000, or go online to georgiamtc.com.
Okay, guys, I want to share a song. This goes out to a very special family up in Fannin County dealing with the last days of dementia. Sadly, dementia is one of those things that we have no control over. So let's all pray that the doctors will find a way one day to solve the problem of dementia. Here we go. A song goes out to a very, very special family up in Fannin County.
Begotten and the price that he paid for my sin. I must not forget, with joy not regret, he died on the cross for all men. Lord, I have not forgotten Jesus. Predicted, despised, and rejected of men. But in his agony there was ransom washed in the blood, his crimson flood, I have not forgotten. I have not forgotten. I have not forgotten.
Okay, we're back. You know, today's a rainy, dreary day. I hope that we have enlightened somebody. I hope that we've made a difference. You've got some other things you want to talk about. Tell me what's going on in your world that is exciting.
Exciting? Well, I mean, the exciting thing is there's tons of opportunity out there, not necessarily in the areas that
If you save and invest, not like Cherie and spend it.
Well, and two, but it's hard, you know, my biggest concern right now is that the government's actually crossed the threshold that inflation will get out of control. Mm-hmm. And it's going to have issues for the stock market at some point in the correct sectors, but it's, you know, we also have the blockchain, which is the algorithms behind Bitcoin and Ethereum. I'm just amazed. I've been studying Ethereum pretty heavily for the past 4 years, and I believe that it can survive government-issued currencies. Not a recommendation, guys. I'm just talking, but I believe that the future financial system and Web 3.0, the new web, which will be decentralized and based off of the blockchain algorithm, is really the future of all global business. I really do.
I'm gonna sneeze.
Bless you. Usually it stops if I say bless you, but I think it's going to upend the banking system. And it's already embedded in society so quickly. I mean, for the blockchain, for example, if we had our social security numbers locked on the blockchain, you could still have anonymity, but it'd be impossible to steal your identity. Mm-hmm. I mean, title insurance. I mean, it's smart contracts. It's absolutely unbelievable. And when you watch it, you watch the traditional government forces like Elizabeth Warren and some of these others that are out there. They want to talk bad about it and say it's a terrible thing and drug dealers use it and all this stuff. And they're relics of an ancient time.
Oh yeah.
And but I also do really believe that at some point here, sooner rather than later, and I don't know when, because see, the thing is, the government's issued so much money into the economy that momentum could carry for 3 more years.
Yep.
It could carry for 3 more months. It could carry for 6 more years. It's impossible to know when it ends because we don't have a historical playbook when you have all of the governments of the world. But I will say one thing: the Bible, tells us in the end times that a quart of wheat for a day's wages, and a quart of wheat for a day's wages, basically a meal for a day's wages, is the classic example of hyperinflation. I can't believe I'm saying that on live TV. Mm-hmm. But is it here? How long will it be? I have no clue. But I am more concerned about that long term than I am an utter collapse of everything as we know it. Because the governments have just shown us the one thing they're going to do is print. So when you look at where we are right now, we're so detached from fundamentals historically. I mean, the median household income, let's just say it's $65,000. I think the median home sale price right now is close to $400,000 in 1998. So interest rates have gone down. They can't really go down a lot more. What do you think, as a real estate agent that's been successful in this period, what would happen if interest rates went to 7%?
It would slow everything down.
Slow it or crash it?
Crash it. Because it means that you cannot afford the $400,000 house you're about to sign your name to, because your payment's going to go from $2,100 to $2,900 a month.
Probably more than that at 7% interest.
Yeah,
so,
depending on your down payment.
And it's all, even now when you go negotiate for a car, you don't get a discount for paying cash.
No.
What I do, and it just irks me to no end, I'm like, okay, I negotiate the price. What if I pay you cash? And then I go, hey, if I finance, will you cut me another couple $1,000s? And they're like, yeah, as long as you don't pay it off in the first 3 months.
Yeah.
So, that's the game we have to play now. but it's printing. So they have a choice. Our leaders have a choice. And do they want to suffer consequences? No. Do they want to admit they're wrong? No. So it's either continue to print and suffer the consequences of printing, or deal with the inflation and risk collapsing. There's no easy way out of this. And so I don't know how this unfolds. For me, it's like I told my wife the other day, I'm like, praise the Lord I didn't, throw in the towel and quit, because our approach will allow us to adapt to the areas that will benefit whenever that happens. We're not going to be perfect, but we can navigate it in an adaptive manner, because I believe now what has worked in the past is not going to work for the next 5 to 7 years. And there are going to be people that are going to be vindicated that saw this. The problem is, one thing I've learned is there are people who tend to see trouble coming a long way off. And then there are people that happen to be good at realizing right when it comes. I tend to see things, I assume things are going to happen a lot quicker than they do. So that's something that I'm having to deal with in the investment approach. But it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. It's going to upend the power structure. It's going to be terrifying. But for those who stick the head in the sand and they're naive and they just listen to the propaganda that's coming out of Washington on both sides of the party, I mean, I could bash Trump just as hard as I can bash Biden. It's those who are seeking the Lord, He will light the path before their feet. Maybe not in the path they want.
Not always the path we want.
But He will light their path. And I believe integrity. I believe one thing that people really care about more in business now is honesty, integrity, and truth, right? Those people who focus on those are going to come back to generating massive fruit in their lives.
I hope so. I hope so. We were comparing something that happened last August. I sold something, and 4 showings a day, multiple, and then an offer came in, took the offer. Those people stayed there long enough to build a house, and guess what the fruits of their labor was? They made $40,000 just by buying at the right time, paying the right price, and they paid the appraised value. That's what it appraised for. They paid exactly the appraised value. They stayed there 7 months. No, 8 months, and they made $40,000 by just making that correct move.
But where did they go?
They built a house that would accommodate them better.
Okay.
So this one didn't quite fit their needs, but what a blessing,
Right.
What a blessing. And that he was a retired police officer. They moved down here from New York, so everything just fell into place for them. And it's, it's the right time, the right place. It is management, and it is faith that you can do it. When I was saving money, if I had my little $130 that I had in, I think it was Bank of Georgia, or Trust Company of Georgia, down on the corner of Peachtree and Baker, I had my little savings account there. If I had taken those nights that I made $400, if I'd have put $100 a night in the flipping bank. But, I went to Daytona, I did this, I did all that. I don't regret any of the things I've done in my life, because it all brought me to where I am today. But when I look at the wealth and the opportunity, I didn't have anybody advising me. I didn't have a father in my life. I didn't have anybody saying, this is how you do it. Anything I accomplished was certainly by God's grace.
Right.
And I wish I had had a Paul Kiker or, a Don Holyfield, or somebody who would have said, this is the true and correct path to achieve the wealth of being able to retire and sit at home on your tail and do what you want to do. But I didn't have anybody. Everybody needs that somebody.
Yeah, and you've been successful because you have drive, you've been through challenges. I've always been amazed.
I proved you can lose it all.
I've been amazed at your ability to keep going. And I've told Holly several times, I'm like
the Energizer Bunny.
And I thought about you. There's times where I'm just like, I'm done, forget it.
Then you think,
like, Lord, can I please do something else? And and I've thought about you. I'm like, you kept pushing through. But I've come to the conclusion over my life and working with very wealthy people, the greatest wealth that you can leave your family is relationship and mentorship. And because it doesn't matter how much money you have, if you don't have connection with your family,
Right.
then you're walking alone in life, and that path is harder.
It's tough. It's tough.
It is.
Yep.
And the Lord allows things to happen so that maybe on one day in the future we have an experience that we can witness into somebody's life and help reflect Him and point Him to them. I experienced literally something like that
Every
last
day.
week. If I had not have walked the path the Lord gave me throughout my life, I would not have been able to speak into a tense situation in the moment that I was in it. And I was just like, first off, Lord, please take my tongue. Second thing,
Yeah.
after it was over, it was like, okay, Lord, I hope I didn't screw that up.
Yeah.
And wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. He
wealth
guided
can
you.
come
He
and go.
watched you. Yeah.
Money
sure
can
it
come and go.
Yep.
But
Yep.
the principles to build it and
Yep.
the discipline to get it don't.
Yeah.
No
Yeah.
matter how the world wants us to think. And it's about control. If I teach you how to work and manage, then you have freedom. If I give you everything, then one, you have to worship me ultimately. And two, you don't have freedom because you're reliant upon me. And that's what we're building in this country. That's what we're building.
Sadly.
And
yeah.
people are so caught up in, look at me, they're unwilling to stand up for what's right.
Well, if you've been lucky enough to be sitting at home getting all those big checks that are being mailed out and you've saved some money, you need to learn from me. Save some money. Save some money, pick up the phone and call Paul Kiker at Kiker Wealth Management in Jasper. And are you going to do the Social Security seminar soon?
Yeah, they're starting back in September, I believe.
Okay, so we're going to talk about that the next time he's here. Please, please, please learn from your mistakes, learn from my mistakes, learn
And
from
the
Paul's.
mistakes of others.
Yes, that's right. We all just need to get it together, and we're going to come out of here, and it's going to be a good day. It's going to be a good day. It's time for us to get out of here.
It sure is, isn't
We
it?
got to leave here where rivers, mountains, and good friends meet. We'll see you again only on ETC. Bye, y'all.